Yeah, I don't find it. I just don't know the details of it.
Well, that's the TSA's announced they're going to take over all of America. Quickly, because I want to get to others that have specific questions for Porter. Bob, what did you see?
Okay, do you want me to ask my questions, or do you want me to see what I saw regarding that?
Just briefly, what did you see with the TSA?
Very, very briefly, what I saw was in my neighborhood as I was out walking off the main highway. We call them dualies. I've lived in Texas.
That's a truck with the four wheels in the back.
Exactly. This dually was pulling a long white container, or that like a mobile home type situation. We call them Batmobiles out here.
Okay, doesn't matter. What'd you see?
Well, it said Department of Homeland Security, turned off the highway. This was probably around 3 in the afternoon.
Sure, what did it do? What did it do?
It basically just came through the neighborhood, did a U-ey, went back out, and went on the highway.
Okay, so they're driving around everywhere and putting up telescreens. What's your question for Porter?
My question for Porter is regarding the Federal Reserve in New York. And, of course, they're not federal. When I was, and I shared this with you, Alex, a few weeks or maybe a month or so ago, I was in the Merchant Marines. I went to the Merchant Marine Academy on Long Island. Our field trip for economics, or for when we were back there as plebes, was to go out at Wall Street and have a tour of the Federal Reserve. When we were taken down to the into the basement, our guide was very arrogant and saying, "Oh, we've never been broke into, we won't." But he took us down into a room and in a caged area. If you stuck your finger, and it showed on wooden pallets piles of gold bullion, and he basically said, for each pallet of gold you can see here, that is gold for various different countries. That's Zimbabwe.
All right, I understand. I'm going to have to let you go in about 10 seconds. Do you have a question?
My question to Porter is, and of course this was in 81, Porter, is that just a dog and pony show, or is that real gold?
All right, I appreciate your call. We know that they have a fraction of gold backing for their fiat currency. In fact, it's not even officially gold-backed. Porter?
It's true that the Federal Reserve Bank in New York holds a lot of gold bullion on deposit for other countries. I don't really think that plays a role in our discussion. As I've said, no matter how much gold the Federal Reserve has, it's not nearly enough to back the currency they've created over the last couple of years. So for the gold to be used as backing again, the price of gold would have to go much, much higher.
Porter, on a side issue, we're going to skip this final break in this hour. Before we let you go at the bottom of the hour, we're going to take more calls, and hopefully they can be quicker questions. I don't mind long questions, but we're almost out of time. WikiLeaks EPA document shows it knowingly allowed pesticide that killed honeybees. That's what the German study showed 3 years ago. There's an example of this culture of corruption where they know that honeybees are dying in some areas almost completely, and the government doesn't care because they're owned by special interest that have no connection to reality. I mean, we're in a lot of trouble, Porter.
Yeah, I agree. I've read a lot of the WikiLeaks material. Even before the guy became famous, I've been using WikiLeaks in my research for the last year, and I've always found the content to be excellent. And I certainly I don't know why Americans would feel threatened by someone telling the truth about what our government's doing. If our government's not acting in our best interest, why shouldn't we know about it?
People get off on slaves. They like being hurt real bad, and don't worry, the system's going to hurt you real bad. Mark in Georgia, you're on the air with our guest. Porter, go ahead.
Hey, Alex and Porter, great job on your site. I signed up after I heard your ad on Alex's show. Porter, I have 3 points. One is, what's to stop the Federal Reserve from continuing to manipulate the bid-to-cover ratio on the Treasury bonds by funneling money to the Caribbean hedge funds and having it come back into the Treasury appearing to be as independent Treasury purchase? Mm-hmm. 2, on the oil side, Saudi Arabia is corralled more militarily than they don't love the dollar, just strung up by the U.S. Army. And then the third thing is I don't think they're going to let the dollar go so quickly until they have something in place like the Bancor or the SDR. Those are my 3 points.
Okay, great. I think those are all excellent questions. To your first point, yes, under the regulations that the Fed operates under, authorizations from Congress and such like that, they can buy any asset they want. I mean, so yes, the answer is they can manipulate the dollar for a very long time. They have a great power to do so. The problem is that they cannot control the effects of doing that in the broader economy. So the reason why I believe the system is beginning to break down is because it's clear to me that the effects of what they're doing, a lower value of the dollar, are beginning to have serious complications in the global economy. In regards to Saudi Arabia being a slave to America's military power, you're exactly right. That's exactly true. Unfortunately, that doesn't mean that Saudi Arabia is going to continue to give us oil. If you look back at the history of Saudi Arabia, every time we have done something to devalue the dollar, they have been successfully able to negotiate a vastly higher price for crude. I have no doubt that will continue. And in regards to the dollar being able to hold the value, unfortunately, that's just simply not the way the global currency markets work. Global currency market volume is about $5 trillion a day. As wealthy as our government is, there's no way they can control that market.
And we already see the slide, as I said earlier, accelerating. Great questions, Mark. Let's go ahead and talk to Joe in Pennsylvania. You're on the air.
Hello there, gentlemen. How are you?
Good. Welcome.
I got 3 quick questions, and I'll take them off air.
All right.
Number one, when you say get assets like agricultural and gold, are you talking physical or stocks? That's number one. And number two, if I do buy the stocks, let's say I have about $10,000, and the system implodes and the dollar collapses, how do I get my money back out of the markets? And what do I do with it once I get it?
All right. Well, what I would do personally, and I'm going to get Porter's take, but I want to see if he agrees with me. If you only got $10,000, I would buy silver. Personally, that's the poor man's gold. Because there's not much to hedge there. Maybe a little gold and then some silver. But, I mean, let's get Porter's take on what I just said.
I think the questions are a little bit more strategic than that, which was not just what I should buy, but how am I going to be able to use it? And I think it's really it's a very good and honest question, and I appreciate you asking it because I'm sure a lot of other people have it. But I also think it's emblematic of something that's really quite amazing. For the entire history of mankind, precious metals have been money. Gold, people have had gold or gold receipts. People have had silver coins in their pockets. Everybody knew how to use these things. And yet in just the last 40 years, the entire American population has forgotten what real money even feels like or how to use it. The point of buying bullion and silver, gold bullion and silver bullion today, is so that when the monetary system collapses, you'll still have money. Because when the paper money collapses, people are going to demand real money again. And real money is gold and silver.
And whatever new fiat they have, you can also cash it in at that point. And in history, it will save its value so you won't have the devaluation.
Right, and so, by the way, if you want to put yourself on a gold standard today, it's really easy to do. You can buy gold very easily from bullion dealers all over the country. You can keep your savings in gold, and when you have to go spend money, you can go to a local pawn shop or a local bullion dealer and cash in a coin every week, and now you've got your spending money.
Yeah, instead of going to the bank to get paper out or to write a check, you're the bank, and then you'll cash it in for their confetti at the point, and your gold and silver historically will rise with the devaluation, and so it's saving your value. It's a hedge against inflation. But I appreciate your call, Joe. Great questions. George in Connecticut, you're on the air with our guest.
Yeah, I have a question as far as I'm 59 and a half. Most of my money's in IRAs. I have it in GLD or in hard currency, but you're talking about getting it out of the country before. So what the heck do I do? And I'm almost ready to jump ship and maybe go to Russia. I have an apartment there. My wife's from there. I mean, at least the ruble might be worth something. They have some value.
Well, the problem is they'll shake you down over there, too, Porter.
Well, actually, I don't have any experience of living in Russia, so I can't really talk about that. But I do think that one of the things that I feature on my video is there are 5 different assets that you can own legally outside the country that you don't have to report to the government. And I think it's very important for people to begin to move some assets outside the country, assuming that you are a person of significant wealth. You're going to want to put some of that stuff outside of the reach of these bureaucrats, because as this thing unravels, they're going to tax anything they can find.
And when people get your newsletter, they find out the strategic ideas you've got to safely move something offshore, and you can find out more with the free video at endofamerica, the number 3.com. Go ahead, caller. Go ahead, George.
The IRA related to the problem. I mean, that's my complication where it's all stuck in IRA. Not easily got, dissolved.
Well, you can do what you want. I'm not going to give advice. I have no IRAs. I would take, personally, the penalty and physically hold. But, Porter, what's your take on that?
Before you do that, I can't give a lot of very useful advice over the phone, and I don't mean to give any particular investment advice to any individual, but there are ways of dealing with your IRA. You should really speak to an asset protection attorney, or you should try reading my newsletter for some details about it. But you can do things like form your own corporation so that you can get control of your IRA. You can put it anywhere you want.
Oh yeah, that's folks do that. Create a corporation, move it into your corporation. Now you've got control of it, and then you can have that corporation convert the IRA, right?
Well, you could just use the corporation to do things like buy real estate overseas, which doesn't have to be reported. There are lots of variations on these things. There are important rules you have to follow if you're going to do anything like that. So please, make sure you speak to a competent attorney. Get some actual advice. Don't just say, I heard a guy say it on the radio when the IRS comes knocking on your door.
Exactly. This stuff is got to be done exactly right. It's very dangerous. Absolutely. And they're starting to clamp down. I mean, I'll just put it to you this way. Some of John Wayne's family has just left the country.
Yeah, I got to tell you, Alex, I know the very most successful asset protection attorney in the United States, and he is setting up to close his practice because the government is clamping down on all these things, and they're going to not be legal anymore. And then once they're not legal anymore, he can't help you. So if you're going to make a move, I think you've got 12 or 18 months to make it, tops.
Well, some of John Wayne's family has already left because they say that there's a bunch of rules changing this year, correct?
There are rules changed. The beginning was the summer of 2008 when they made it against the law for you just to take your assets out of the country without paying taxes on them first, which is actually modeled after a Soviet law from the 1960s. I mean, literally. So and now there are more laws that are going to be taking effect January 1st, 2013. So, these people, they're going to do everything they can to stay in power, and they know the risk of hyperinflation.
So what would I do? I would create a subsidiary in the U.S. to run my operation here, but then I'd have to move somewhere and broadcast from there from another subsidiary, I guess the Caymans or something, or they'll completely shut us down.
Alex, I'm certainly no expert at this, but I can tell you from where I stand, I have subscribers in more than 150 different countries, and there isn't any subscriber who cares where I'm writing from.
Absolutely. It's so painful to watch this country going into the clutches of hardcore criminals and to watch the dumbed-down population running around watching sports getting drunk. They have no idea how bad they're about to get hurt. And then these crooks are going to sick them on any middle-class people left. They're going to tear us apart. It's horrible. Well, Porter Stansberry of Stansberry Research Associates, Stansberry Associates and Investment Research. Amazing information, the free video at endofamerica3.com. Hope folks check into it. I look forward to speaking to you again, sir. Let me say bye to you. During this break coming up, we've got Gerald Celente on the retransmission at Infowars.com today, basically saying the same thing that Mr. Stansberry is saying. It's incredible. So we'll continue to track all this. Sorry to the other callers. I'll be back live tomorrow, 11 a.m. Central. God bless you all.
We're on the march. The empire's on the run. Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network.
Hi, this is Alex Jones. You've heard me talk about the delicious, easy-to-fix, and very storable foods from eFoodsDirect.com. I've told you for years that eFoods Direct has the best storable food on the planet. Now it's that time of year again, and their holiday special is here. They have 2 holiday price packs for you to put into your reserves for a secure future or to share with others. The first is a 6-month bulk supply in 10 cans. And the second is a 5-week supply of quick and easy-to-fix meals, including delicious bakery items shipped in heavy tote bags. Now, for a limited time, when you order 2 or more of these special holiday packs, you'll get free shipping on your entire order. Call now, 800-409-5633. Or visit them at eFoodsDirect.com/.